So this is the set that's basically got me back into Bauer's. This is the 2023 GSX line of Bauer gear that year, and this qualifies as like the entry-level version of their gear. The mid-level stuff that year was the X5 Pro, and then the Pro stuff was the Hyperlight 2s. So why are we even talking about an entry-level set of pads made in 2023? Well, first of all, I think it's really important to talk about this because no one really talks about lower or mid-price point gear on social media. And the other thing is, like, for the price of this set currently, I think you could probably pick up the entire set for around maybe $800 Canadian, maybe a little bit less if you look around enough. And I thought it'd be really fun to actually get this set and try it out for a handful of ice times, because I am someone who's only worn top level pro gear, particularly lots of Bauer stuff, and just like see how it actually felt. So usually when it comes to like lower end price point stuff, you know, there's this impression that it's going to be like less protective, it's going to have cheaper materials, it's not going to last as long. Obviously it's going to lack a lot of pro features. Let's be honest here, you know, I don't think any of us are really playing in the NHL anytime soon. And as a low level beer league goaltender, does this even matter? So my first impressions going on the ice with this set is that everything felt really well broken in out of the box. Like the glove obviously was like super game ready. The pads felt really nice in form fitting along my leg. And that's pretty good for most people because there's no break-in period with that. And I think there's just something about Bauer gear that kind of like fits around and wraps around your leg that it kind of just made me miss wearing Bauer's after I put the set on. Not only that, but like the entire set feels extremely light. I mean, obviously there's going to be less protective materials in there, but the best way I can describe it is that it feels like I'm wearing like a set of street hockey gear, which is absolutely sick because I grew up playing street hockey and I kind of just love that old school feel of like strapping pillows to your legs and stopping pucks like that. So over the course of 5 ice times that I had with this set, I had a really positive experience with them, and it really opened my eyes and kind of changed my general opinion on lower price point gear, because like I mentioned earlier, as someone who's always like worn pro level stuff, I'm really impressed with how the set performed. And because of this experience, yeah, I've kind of gone back to wearing Bauer gear again. Alright, so let's first have a look at the leg pads themselves. So this is a size small, which is a 33+1 in Bauer. Typically I wear extra small in Bauer, so this was a little bit taller than I'm more used to, but I didn't really have too much trouble adjusting to the extra height in the pad. So first off, let's have a look at the overall profile of the pad. So you can see it's got a really nice S-curve for those of you who want to have some extra 5-hole coverage. Plus it's very soft as well and very bendy. So you could shape this a little bit more if you want more of that curve shape to it. The one thing that does separate this from like the higher price point lines is it's actually very like torsionally flexible. So it does have a lot of give like side to side. And that's something that I'm not really used to because I'm more used to wearing stiffer pads. But if you want something like very flexible, where it kind of goes side to side and pushes down, this is definitely the type of pad for you. So when it comes to the slide surface, I was actually really impressed about how well these slid. I've worn lots of Bauer gear in the past, and for some reason, the sliding on the Bauers is somewhat inconsistent. I found with the GSX line, like this thing slides like a dream. Like it's perfect amount of slide. For a low price point pad is super awesome. So looking at the leg channel, I think the first thing that people are going to talk about is that really famous like StabilaFlex knee block that Bauer has. So this is a very stable and integrated knee block into the face of the pad here, and this is going to give you a lot more stability going into your drops and giving a better closure. Really awesome that they brought this down to the entry-level price point. So looking at this leg channel, when it comes to strapping, you have your behind the knee strap here that's removable. You can either put it up here or strap it down on the bottom. You have a overall lower calf strap that kind of wraps everything together like this. And then your internal calf wrap, which is like a Y strap that just closes everything down like that inside of the pad. If you look really closely on the inside here too, there's a internal like calf pillow here. So this is like the butterfly assist pillow that sits over here. This is also removable. I definitely would keep that in there. It does help with your butterfly and kind of keeping things sealed as you go down. And overall, the feel of like the inner channel The material, you can tell it's like not as like nice as the higher end stuff, but it is very like comfortable and breathes very well. So when I was using this, I didn't feel like I was hot or didn't feel uncomfortable at all. So that's a really good sign when it comes to like a lower price point pad. So looking at the toe bridge, you have your typical fat tab like this. So the Vapor line has like a little single tab for your toe ties. This has like the thicker like Supreme style one. I actually prefer something like this because it's a little bit more robust and it allows you to have different anchor points for your toe ties. But when it came to sliding, comfort, and fit, these are great. Like this really was exceeding my expectations when it came to the leg pad, especially coming down from pro level spec Bauer stuff. This is a really solid pad for the price. I highly recommend this pad. Like I would definitely wear this again. This is actually not my set, so I'm not going to take them out for a spin and get them all banged up again. So when it comes to the catcher for this line, this comes in a stock 600 brake. So a double T with a skate lace, which is fantastic. A double T with skate lace is awesome. Really deep pocket, you can see right there. So the one thing about this glove right out of the box is it closes like really well. Like it's really snappy. There's like literally zero break-in time. When it comes to like the straps on the inside of the glove, it feels very soft inside. It does feel a little bit slippery. Like I could definitely feel my hand kind of like sliding out as I played further into the games and I got a little more sweat built in there. Just the material that they use is like a little bit more slippery than I'm used to. And when it comes to the loops, so there are kind of like these stretchy, there's like these kind of like stretchy loop bands for your pinky finger here and then your thumb on the other side. They aren't adjustable, so that's something that I wish they could have had here, so I can kind of tighten those up or loosen them up depending on your hand size. Otherwise, like the strapping for this, for the inside is pretty typical. You have your cross strap over here for your wrist and then there's a couple other ones in here to kind of keep things secure. So the one thing that I didn't really like about this glove is that when you close it, you'll see it kind of gives this weird overlap here. I'm not really sure if that's just the way that it was like broken in, but I've seen other people have the same issue with the GSX glove, and I'm one of those goalies who always scoops up the puck on a whistle, so this makes it like almost impossible for you to get like a good seal on the ice and pick up the pucks. So that was a bit of a problem for me. Not only that, is that the tee is kind of like, it's really floppy and flimsy. Like there's only like a really thin sheet of material here. So not really a big fan of that. I can see this like caving in over time possibly. But other than that, that was like one of my like main complaints about the glove. A lot of people would ask about, you know, how protective is an entry-level line glove. I can tell from just like feeling the materials over here, it does feel like Bauer has really reinforced this pocket area. So if you do miss the puck and get it straight in your palm, you're not really going to get like a stinger or anything like that. So when I used this glove, I did make a handful of saves with the palm here, and there was absolutely no problem with that. I can't say like over time, maybe this will break down a little bit quicker, but from the way that it is right now, it does actually feel pretty solid. And lastly, we have the good old GSX blocker. Again, I always speak highly of the Bauer blockers, and there's no exception when it comes to this line of blocker. This is, it feels like almost one of the higher end model blockers. Really comfortable on the hands, really good wrist mobility. So the thing I like about this compared to the Vapor line of blockers is that it doesn't have this like weird cuff that they usually have there. So this is more akin to like the Shadow line of blocker or the Supreme blocker. So lots of flexibility in the wrist cuff here. Took quite a few nice shots off of the blocker. Not as like crazy rebounds as like the pro model blockers, but more than enough to bat the puck away in the corner. Really cool, really solid sidewall too, which I really like. So yeah, definitely no complaints about the blocker. Like I definitely would not have a problem using this blocker for games. So let's try to answer two questions here. So why am I not using this GSX set, and who do I think this set is actually for? So when it came to the leg pads, I typically wear an extra small, which is a 32 in Bauer. So this is a size small, which is a 33. you know, even though I felt like it was really comfortable and I felt like I played pretty well in it, I always do like a little bit of a shorter pad, just for mobility's sake. So even though I'm not using the GSX pads, this is basically what kind of got me reintroduced into Bauer, just to how these performed when it came to sliding, and how it felt on my leg in terms of comfortability, and like how nice and flexible the top portion of the pad is. It did kind of get me back into wearing Bauers again. So I was lucky enough to find a set of Hyperlight 2s on clearance over the winter break. So this is what I'm rocking now, and this is a 32 plus 1, so it's an extra small. And this has been pretty much my set for all of January now, and planning to stick with it to the end of the season. I know you've all heard that before, but I'm going to try to keep my promise this time. So when it came to the glove, overall I'm actually not a big fan of Bauer gloves. I used the old Hyperlight gloves before, the X5 Pro gloves, even the SV Pro, and the Flylight gloves. I didn't really like any of them. This was actually like not that bad. I didn't mind this at all, other than it being a 600 break, which is something that I'm not used to. But the weird overlap really bugged me. So those two things combined made me switch and find my other glove that I actually really loved from Bauer, and this is like the only Bauer glove that I've actually used, that I've enjoyed using, and this is the Vapor 90. So I believe this is from 2023 as well too. So this is the Vapor 90 glove here, and this one actually has like, you know, straps that you can adjust the pinky and thumb loops, because I have a pretty small hand, so I do like to kind of like pull those a bit tighter. But this is a 580 break, so this is what I'm used to using, so I didn't really want to kind of try to change my style just to match gear and things like that. So again, found this on clearance over the break and got this glove as an upgrade. So the GSX blocker, really awesome. To be honest, I don't really have any problems with this blocker at all. Really good mobility, really good protection. Of course though, when you get gear, it's got to match, right? So the pattern's got to match and everything like that. You got to have that bit of that style in there. So I was lucky enough to find pretty much like the identical blocker on Facebook Marketplace. So I got this for a pretty good deal. This is a fully custom Hyperlight 2 brand new blocker. These two blockers have the same cuff. So stock Vapor blocker will usually have this like weird cuff over here, which some people actually cut off, which I don't like at all. So it was really good for me to be able to find this one on sale on Marketplace. And you'll see that it's actually pretty much identical to the GSX one, which is awesome. So I really would vouch for this entry-level price point blocker. So who do I think this set is for? Obviously, it's going to be for people who don't want to break the bank for some goalie gear. And like I mentioned earlier, I think you can find this set for under 800 Canadian, if I'm correct. And even though it's like from 2023, as someone who's tried all the new Bauer stuff of 2025, there really is like no difference at all, besides maybe like a little bit of tweaks here and there. It's kind of like, you know, Apple comes out with new phones every year and there's just like a little bit of an enhancement. That's kind of how I feel like when it comes with Bauer. And the cool thing is you can find GSX gear like on clearance now or on Facebook Marketplace that's like almost new. So if you are on a budget and you want to get into goaltending, or you know someone who's like, hey, I want to be a goaltender but I don't have cash, I definitely recommend the GSX line. So if you're someone who's looking for goalie gear and maybe you're just not really sure how to size your leg pads based off your measurements, I did this video over here a while ago where I talk about the best way to measure for leg pads. So definitely check that out if you need a hand with that.